Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to Israel Doctrine Google Hangout YouTube broadcast. As you see, it's a Sabbath morning, and I want to talk to the people about the subject matter in which I provoked this morning. At the end of the day, when Israelites talk about who they are, they deal with conditions, because it's not a documentation out there for its sources through history or whatever that denotes or states what it is our conditions was going to be, like the Bible. So the title of this broadcast, or this hangout in which I'm airing today, is the conditions of the real Israel, Africans in America today. So we're talking about Africans in America today who are truly the real Israelites. Due to the fact that all Africans at the end of the day is not from one tribal origin. You know what I'm saying? Unless you want to deal with it from a biblical perspective and say Ham is the father of all Africans. If you can't find a common ancestor to say, well, this is where all the Africans came out of, and this is where all the, Gentiles or Europeans came out of, or this is where all the, so-called Middle Easterners come out of, then how you gonna argue, make an argument about this, that, and other? You can't. You gotta have something to link us all together to prove that we all African, or we all of the Hamitic seed that one deals with from a biblical perspective. So all of Israel is the seed, physically, it's the seed of Jacob, which is the common ancestor we all hold. You can even go Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. So with that being the case, then you can see that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not come out of Ham or a Hamitic tribe. But even amongst the Hamites or the Hamitic people, from a biblical literary perspective, are not all of the same tribe. They might be of the same lineage, same family, but not of the same tribes. You know what I'm saying? And you only say that because they had a common ancestor known as Ham from the literary perspective, right? Now, everybody want to be a scholar, and all scholars do, is look at evidence, people, whether if it's physical, whether it's a picture, or whether it's literature. So everybody claiming to be a scholar out here, but they never deal with this literature. And this is my Bible. 20-some Bible. I bought a lot of cheap Bibles to tear them up to preserve this one. I spent $100-something on this at Moody Bibles in Chicago. A pretty good Bible, right? So literary perspective, if you want to be a scholar, you will have to go in here and deal with this. You will have to go in here and deal with that. See all those pages? You will have to go in there and deal with that literature. No matter how many history books and things you read about this literature, no matter how much you read about this literature, you will have to go to this literature. It says this is a KJV Bible, right? So we're going to deal with this literature today, and we're going to come from a literary perspective, and we're going to be scholarly with it, meaning we're going to precepts, we're going to give you lines, and we're going to give you the references to those precepts and those lines, just like someone will send you to Chancellor Williams or send you to Dr. Ben, We the Black Jews, or something like that, and say, well, quote unquote, this is what he said, verbatim, or blah, blah, blah. Now, if you don't like the authors of the book, or you don't like the one who published the book, that's your personal problem. It has nothing to do with me, because that's your personal preference. Just if you chose to sleep with an animal, sleep with another man, or woman sleep with another, you know what I'm saying, like the color red, blue, or whatever it is you like, that's your personal preference. And you're an individual, I'm an individual. So your preference, long as you ain't trying to push it on me, I don't care. Right? So we're gonna go in this book and deal right quick. We're gonna go to Deuteronomy 32 right quick. Because this is what we're trying to do in the Americas, right? And when I say Americas, I'm dealing with North, Central, and South America, right? Because the slave ships brought us over here. The majority of us that worked the plantations, of forefathers and foremothers worked the plantation, right? So we're gonna go to Deuteronomy 32, and we're gonna deal with some of this. And like I said, I'm trying to get away from just blog talking and stuff. I want y'all to see my face, my facial expressions, and get a feel of me as a person. Deuteronomy 32, we're gonna start at 37. As y'all see, I'm flipping. And it says, and he shall say, wherefore, where are their gods, their rock in whom they trust? Right? I'm in 33 or 32. Now I'm on verse 7. I said 17. And I went to 37. I don't know. Let me get focused, people. 7. Remember the days of old. So we're in Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee. Right? They will tell thee. But even as Tupac Shakur said, we turn to our elders, their age and experience, but they can't even tell us. Can't tell us what? Those things that we really, really, really need to know, because we perish for a lack of knowledge. Now, people go to the John Henry Clarks, people go to the Dr. Benz, people go to the Chancellor Williams, they go to, you know, the other scholars out there, and then they go to the people today like Sarasu and Seti, right? They go to Shaka Utmost, they go to Polite, they go to Brother Reggie, they go to Wesley Muhammad, they go to the so-called scholars of today, those that go through literature and pictures and whatever else that they would want to consider primary sources, and bring out evidence today, right? About what? Our history, they say. Who history? Our history. The so-called African American, right? The ones that's on these American continents from Africa, right? Came over here from Africa. It don't state or denote which tribe we are from Africa. It just, for the most part, what they do is tell us that we from Africa. Now, if you do a DNA test, then you get your mitochondria DNA, and if you with this tribe, that tribe, we're gonna deal with that most people deal with it. Because most people want to get real scientific with it and stuff, but we average human beings that deal with average information. All of us are not quote unquote scholars and go read all this documentation and stuff, right? So to touch on it before I go anywhere else, ask the elders, right? And they supposed to inform us. So this is what most people do. Yeah, elderly scholars, which like I quoted some earlier, you know, you have the younger scholars of today, the ones in their 30s and 40s, maybe 50s, going to their work, and then, you know, as they love to claim, like Unc and other members from the Amara squad, we stand on the shoulders of these giants of history and archaeology and so on and so forth, right? So when you're dealing with the DNA, check it out, people. Israel, as a people, as I put in the box here, as a nation of people was born in Egypt, was created in Egypt. If you don't know that, then you're ignorant of the text and you're not a scholar of biblical texts. You might be a scholar of biblical history, this, that, and the other, which a lot of people do that. They study history more than anything, and they want to be historians more than anything, you know, but they can't deal with the literal text that's written in the book. So we're going to go to Exodus 1 to deal with this, right? Israel as a nation was born down here in Egypt, in Africa. Africa's still in Egypt, right? As Divine just pointed out to Brother Divine that did the, you know, the lecture on Sondervan TV about the Bible being relevant to who we are as Black people in America, you know, and Brother Unc came on there and started talking about the tectonic plates and where Israel is and stuff, which he done took both positions. He done said Israel is in Africa, then he said Israel is not in Africa. And then the brother just showed him with graphs and stuff on Sondervan TV what it's all about, right? Hello? Peace, what up? I'm trying to do a Google Hangout, and I'm doing it live on YouTube, but I don't So forgive me for that, people. Somebody trying to hang people to the hangout. You know what I'm saying? So if you'd like to be a part of the hangout, most definitely come hang out with me. I'm going to send the information around to a couple people just in case they want to come hang out and talk about the conditions of quote unquote the African Americans. So now, once again, what I'm finna do is go to Exodus 1 and show y'all the birth of the nation. Number one, Joseph was already down in Egypt. But we're going to read. Seeing that Joseph was down in there, you know, people are, well, historically, we can't find a Joseph this, that, and, you know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. It's just the historical thing. But this book is written for a certain purpose and it's written a certain way just for that purpose. Now, if you don't want to deal with the purpose, don't deal with the book because you're not going to bring about nothing. That's what it was written for, and that's what you got to deal with. What up? What up? We got somebody in the hangout with me? Yeah, the Ron Camel. Peace. What up, man?
Peace, brother. What's going on?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm good. Up here dealing with the conditions of the real like Africans in America today.
Yeah, buddy, I'm just listening in. I hear you.
All right. So I'm in Exodus now and trying to show these people a simple truth that at the end of the day, Israel as a nation was born down in Egypt, which Egypt is still in Africa today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So which one is right? Every man in his household came with Jacob. You know, we ain't gonna go through all the names. We'll just skip the 5. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls. But Joseph was in Egypt already. Now, this is not the nation of Israel. These are the children of Israel. They are not a nation yet because you don't have enough people to denote or to prove that they're a nation, right? They're amongst a nation. Egypt was a great nation, right? So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Show you what the Bible say about Egypt and what Egypt dwell at, what the land of Egypt is, right? Let's show that. I want to go and show that. What we're gonna do is deal with the land of Ham, right? Let's go to Psalms 105. Psalms 105, and we're going to pick it up at 23. Israel also came into Egypt. Now you could say the nation, right? Which they was not proclaimed a nation of Israel yet. They was just called Hebrews down there. It said Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. So Egypt is in the land of Ham. Who is Ham? Let's go to Genesis 10. See, now, when you deal with the Shaka Utmost, you deal with the Polites, you deal with the Sarasun Seti, you deal with that. You know, if you're going to deal with history, it's a history in this Bible. It's a chronology in this Bible that you have to deal with too, as well as secular chronology. We don't have no problem dealing with that. So it's called the land of Ham. It's called Egypt, which is in the land of Ham, right? So let's get a perspective on who Ham is. We're going to Genesis 10 and we're going to pick it up at 1. Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah. Noah and his sons, right? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. So, Ham has a spot on this earth called the land of Ham, meaning his dwelling place, his tent, whatever you want to call it. From a literary perspective, we call them all those names, right? So when it say Israel also came into Egypt, which was in the land of Ham, right? Known today as Africa. And Jacob sojourned in that land of Ham, which the designated spot is Egypt. Then you could begin to understand vital to the argument in the debate circle in the House of Consciousness, Debate Talk for You, or anywhere else you find people debating these type of topics. That Israel, quote unquote, can be called Africans because they were born in the land of Ham, to be Pacific in Egypt as a nation, not as a people, because the DNA, the bloodline already existed, right? From even Abraham, the first Hebrew, or the first to be called Hebrew, right? That bloodline existed, and that bloodline do not stem from Ham. We're gonna show you that in this right here. Let me hit my hangout so I can see if I'm showing you. You see that? The New Compact Bible Dictionary, right? Is a Zondervan. What is Zondervan?
It's upside down.
You
You
can
had it
see it up there.
upside down.
No, it's the screen. Right up there, you can see it's Zondervan Bible Dictionary. This is what people hear most Israelites quote, right? So now we finna deal with that, so you can understand and comprehend, people. We finna read from that. The Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Let's get that. We're gonna go to Ham. So we already see that Ham has a land mass named after him, right? The land of Ham, which Egypt is in, right? And we know that Ham is the son of what? Of who? Noah, right? So we got Ham. Let y'all know that I got the dictionary. I also got it on the screen here, but I got the dictionary. Let's find Ham so you can see it. Make sure that you see I ain't selling you no bull crap. My cameras and stuff not working. But anyway, Ham, right? It said the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitors of the dark race, right? So dark race, pigmented people, right? So we say pigmented people come from Africa, right? The first people to be the inhabitants of the world, right? Dark-skinned people, right? Saying Ham is the father of them all, but Noah will be the father of us all because Ham, Shem, and Japheth comes from Noah, who came across the flood, and it was people on that side. And if Noah exists, Noah had to have a father, right? So we dealing with a genealogy here, people, that was before the flood and after the flood. You have 2 that you have to deal with. You got to get people across the flood. You got to find out who they people was on the other side of the flood, or their genealogy, and then you got to start dealing with your own genealogy based off of the 8 people that made it across the flood, right? So it say he became the progenitor of the dark race, not the Negro. Now, Zondervan Bible Dictionary is a publishing company basically of Europeans, right? So these are European white people, or you can even call them Edomites if you want to. They telling you that Ham, the biblical literary character, was a dark-skinned man, and his children was a dark race of people. Today's Negro, as most of us, our forefathers was called, as Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and all them that was doing the civil rights era and stuff, saying the American Negro, this, that, and the other. We all understand we come from a so-called history of people called Negroes, right? It said that Ham is not the father of the Negro, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, and so on and so on, right? And you can read that from Genesis 6 to 20, right? So the conditions of the American or African American Negro is not the conditions of just a Hamitic people, because they're a dark-skinned race of people, as we see from the Bible dictionary, and as we can go into the Bible if need be and show you that Israel looks similar to the Egyptians. That's how Moses hid out in the house of Pharaoh, in the kingdom of Pharaoh, as his grandson sent up on his lap and stuff. We know if Moses was a white man, he would have had to have and his daughter, Pharaoh's daughter, would have had to sell him as a child with leprosy, And then, due to the fact, at the end of the day, she didn't have a fake belly. How did she get away with that anyway? Them people knew to a degree that Moses came from another woman. You gotta know that, you know. So now, this right here from secular history, which this Bible dictionary is a secular history book, is not the Bible, right? It's a Zondervan publishing. It's not a KJV publishing. King James did not authorize this book, right? So this is a different book. See, two books, right? So now let's go back to the Bible, because such information as that proves through secular and biblical texts that at the end of the day, the so-called Negro, which a lot of us are called it, are not of a Hamitic seed. Now, do that not mean that the Hamitic seed did not come to be called or known as Negro? These people letting you know that it's a dark race of people that are not Egyptians, right? So let me see where I want to go next in the text. Let's just start dealing with the bulk of why I came here today, right? Let's go to Romans. Let's go to Romans 1. No, 11. Romans 11. Because see, the people of this book, of this Bible, and the curses, right? It's not the curse of Cain. You know, most people call it the Hamitic curse or call it Ham's curse, but it's not the curse of Cain. And even in this book right here, let me click back over. Even dealing with this book right here by Dr. Joseph Ben Yakanan, or Joe Cannon, right? He talks about the white Jewish myth and how they even say that it's a curse of Ham and not a curse of Cain, meaning they're not being scholarly and they're not being truthful about the biblical context in which they read about that curse. So you can't take people's words. You have to study for yourself. Shaka Atmos don't study the Bible. He study history. He study books that tell you about the Bible, stuff like the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, right? He's not going to read it because it's a Bible dictionary and he think they already, you know, biased in their, you know, definitions or historical statements that they make in here, right? But he'll read other stuff. He didn't show you, Sarnetta said he showed you this book or showed you some of Dr. Ben's book, but he didn't show you We the Black Jews. And we who? Dr. Ben and the rest of the blacks in America that are Jews. Meaning he put himself in the category as being a Jew. I don't care what he said in his lectures. I don't care. Look, you see this? This is primary, right? This is a primary source, right? Them videos you have, you can say, oh, did they tamper with the audio or whatever? You can make an argument for that, right? So, the conditions, right? I said Romans 11. Because the curse is on this people. I'm going to show you why the curse is on them, why people say we cast away. I'm going to use a couple scriptures, but I need to get to Romans 11 right quick. And 1, it say, I say then, has God cast away his people? Who is his people? Everybody know that the Jews or the Jews or the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, as some call themselves, are the chosen people of God, right? Now, everyone that say they're Israelite or Hebrew Israelite don't mean they physically from the seed of Jacob. I might as well throw that disclaimer out there. Just because they dark skinned and say they from the seed of Jacob don't make them a Hebrew Israelite, or don't make them an Israelite, or don't make them a black Jew, or don't make them what they claim to be, right? So it say, I say then, has God cast away his people? God forbid, for I'm also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. Paul letting you know, if he cast away his people, I wouldn't be him writing this epistle, right? God has not cast away his people, which he foreknow. Will you not what the scriptures said of Elijah, how he made intercession to God against Israel, saying, And we're going to show you that Israel wasn't squeaky clean. They was foul. They was foul. Still are foul. That's why y'all have a problem with those that stand on the street corner, cuss y'all out, tell you can't get salvation and everything else. Israel is a foul people. Those that's foul in nation, they foul. Those that's righteous is righteous, just like any other nation. Don't be ignorant, right? It said, Lord, they have killed our prophets. They dig down thy altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life, right? But then Paul tell you up here, or right here in 5. Even so then at this present time, listen, at this present time, and I'm telling you now, at this present time, also there's a remnant according to the election of grace. So even though you have some physical, some proclaiming this and that or whatever, it's always a seed of Israel that's being represented and representing this Bible. They call the elect. And they doing it in a proper manner. Some of them proper manner. That's why y'all conditions y'all are get beat up on street corners. That's why y'all get beat up on Facebook, yelled and screamed and cussed out and everything else. This is a condition of our people today, African Americans, Negroes, whatever. They're crazy. They've been spiritually molested, minds spiritually and everything else, so they don't trust people that deal with this book, because those who did it with this book. That's what people love to tell you. Slavery. They use this book. This book is to enslave us. That's why me and Sankofa debating on November the 1st about is this book good, the best tool for our liberation, right? The best tool. So now 6, Romans 11 and 6. And if by grace, then it is no more works. And that's what a lot of people trying to do. They trying to dress a certain way and proclaim that they're Israel because of what they speak or what they see, but not what you see for as clothing and stuff. But they're not showing you they inner man. They're not showing you their heart. Circumcision instead of the heart. Yes, it's of the foreskin too. You got to remove your head covering, and I'm not talking about this head, so y'all know what I'm talking about, right? And if by grace then is no more works, otherwise grace is no more grace. But if it be a works, then it's no more grace, otherwise works is no more works, right? So it's basically saying people trying to work and do things, you know what I'm saying? Preach the word, yes. Don't mean you have to be on Blog Talk every day. It don't mean none of that. It means whenever you get the opportunity, tell people be as sound and truthful as possible, right? 7. What then? Israel has not attained that which he seeketh for, and a lot of them haven't. They got a zeal, but not according to knowledge and not according to truth, right? So it'll say, but the elect has attained it, and the rest was blind. So I'm letting y'all know and proclaiming as Paul proclaimed that part seeing, part blind. Some is aware and some totally unaware that we Israel, or that we should be Israel, or be sojourning with Israel as the Egyptians did, or whichever other Hamitic nation was down there, right? So God has not cast away his people. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 to show you that at the end of the day, and we was just in 32:1, and I was reading 37, but before we go to 37, let's go to 18. Deuteronomy 13 and 18 this time, and this to show you that the Lord was going to deal with his people, but he hadn't totally cast them away, which we're writing about too. So Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to pick it up at 18. It said, of the rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, right? They said they forsake God, right? That's what Paul said. And has forgotten God that formed thee. So the one that formed us is our God, right? And when the Lord saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and his daughters. So the one that formed us, we are known as his sons and daughters, right? And that's the nation of Israel. We was born and created and forged down in what? Egypt, right? He said in 20, and he said, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end shall be, for they are a very forward generation, as we are now. But as we read in Romans 11, at the end of the day, what happened? They killed the prophet, did up the altars, they did a lot of foul things, as they was doing back here, right? Children in whom is no faith. 21, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God, right? Stones and stuff with images, right? White Jesus, black Jesus, crucifixion, crosses, fishes, moons, stars, these things, right? They worship the elements of those things that's created more than the creator himself. They have provoked me to anger with their vanity, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people, and I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. So whether you Israel or not, if you over here and you under these conditions, right, then the Bible is letting you know that this is a foolish nation which we are in. These people crazy too. So when you got a crazy people for Israel and they wilding out, then what you do, you get a bigger monster, a bigger beast, or a bigger lion to devour them. You know, you find somebody strong. You know, so this nation that we under, this white man's world that we in today, all over, to tell the truth, they're stronger than us. You saying physically? Nah. In the ways forged out of what we did to them. You know what the Hamites did to them, the Moors did to them. You know, Islam did to them, and Israel did to them. Black people have beat up on white people too, people. So now we're gonna go back to Romans 11. Everybody want to hate the white man for what he doing, but at the same time we did the same things. It's nothing new under the sun, and we supposed to be the fathers and mothers of everything, whether we African, Israel, or whatever. Then what do you think these children of ours learn from? Who they learn from? They parents. Just like the video they had going around, you see the father beating up the wife, and then you see the son right there in the video with him beating up the wife. You see the woman throwing up her food and stuff, and you see the daughter right there beside her throwing up her food. The children are mimicking the parents. If you want to claim to be the parents of civilization, look what you birthed. Can't blame it on no one else. But now we're gonna go back to Romans 11, and we're gonna pick it up at 10. Well, 9. And David said, let their table be a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. They table that which is on the table. This Bible is even that to people. It's a snare to people. It's a stumbling block. They get in here and bust their head, even though they think and proclaim that they Israel. They get in here and stumble all over this book. Those that's not, they pick it up, they stumble all over it. Only if you are led God with the Holy Spirit, which come in many shapes, forms, and fashions, you know what I'm saying, then you can't deal with this book. You have to be initiated into this mystery system, which I keep Israel mystery system, right? You don't believe it, then just go Google and BibleGateway.com mystery, and you will see the statements about mysteries that are very mysteries to you, and you don't know nothing about them. But we're going to keep it moving. So we just read 9, we're going to go 10. Let their eyes be darkened. Once again, half is blind, that they might not see and bow down their backs always. So when you going to work like a Hebrew slave, not to be a Hebrew, right? You bow down your back. You got supervisors and managers and bosses over you. Then you bowing down. You should have been the supervisor, the boss, and the manager and stuff. You should have been the head and not the tail. 11. I say then, how that they should fall, right? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentile, for to provoke them to jealousy. And he say he gonna provoke us to jealousy with a foolish nation, right? So as you see, we got some brothers out there where you got a Gentile and an Israelite, and they teaching alongside each other, and people are going stir crazy over this. They like, that's not the order and stuff. But the Gentile acknowledged that the Israelite is supposed to sit over him in any matters, biblical matters, and they set their congregation up right. So stop hating. You know what I'm saying? Gentile could sojourn with us just like Ham or Egypt or any other Hamitic, Kemetic people sojourn with Israel due to the literary fact or statement made in this Bible when the God of the Bible when it destroyed Egypt. Now, y'all believe it as true, or y'all can hate it and say it's not true. But dealing with this biblical literature, the God of this Bible went down in Egypt and kicked all the pantheon tail and brought us up out of there, and brought some Egyptians up out of there with him. Y'all want to believe it? Cool. But you want to hear the biblical aspect? I'm gonna read about it for you. Where the Exodus at? Exodus 12. Okay. So now we're gonna go to Exodus 12. And we're gonna pick it up at 1. I'm gonna give y'all a little Passover history today. Literary perspective. I said I was gonna be here for 2 hours. I'm gonna try to put enough information here to deal with some things. Exodus 12 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this shall be unto you the beginning of months. Now, people didn't ask questions on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff why the months start the way it do. For Israel, is due to the fact of this. You know, God deal with change, complete change. When you want to know it's another day, and one day it's over with and another one is start, when it becomes pitch black, when the night sky is black, you know that day is over with, and you done got the beginning of a new day. The secular world tell you at 12 o'clock, it's a new day. In the midst of the darkness, it's a new day. But when the darkness come in, it already done started the process that you find yourself in at 12 o'clock at night. So God deal with completions. It's night, it's day, due to what goes on in the sky, not a clock or a watch, right? And then he deal with seasons as the change. When you see the leaves start dying here, you know winter is coming in. You ain't got to ask what season you in. You start seeing the leaves falling and stuff, you going into a new season. And when they dead and gone, you know you in a new season. Then when they start budding and stuff start coming out, you're dealing with a new season, right? The beginning of stuff when it's budding and stuff, the end of stuff when it's dying. That's simple, right? So you don't have to be a rocket science to deal with God, because he deals with simplicity. So around April or around this time frame of the beginning of the months that we're talking about here in Exodus, you get the new year. Abel, the month Abel, right? He said, verse 3, speak unto all the congregation of Israel and say, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, and the lamb for the house, right? And if the house be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls, which is people. Every man according to his eating shall make your account for the lamb. So we just going through the lamb. You see this is starting off with the past, so I ain't gonna get into all of that, right? But let's go to now 12. It said, for I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Right? I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the house where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. Right? And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation. You shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. That's the Passover, right? Now, it said for ordinance forever. Let's look at this. Let's deal with this. We're going to go to 43 now. Exodus 12 and 43. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat of it. Right? A stranger is one that's not of the nation of Israel. Notice that I said not of the nation of Israel. I didn't say not of the seed of Jacob. It's a difference. It's a physical seed that's known as the nation of Israel, and it's also strange seed, a stranger seed of Hamitic, other Semitics, and Gentiles that could be considered a part of the nation of Israel. And we're going to show you that in this verse. And we're going to go to Deuteronomy 29 and show you, right? So it say 44. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. Why? Because now you coming into the covenant that he made with Abraham, who is the father of the faithful, right? And he said, anyone is bought with money or born in his household must need be circumcised, so he break the covenant of Abraham that God made with him, and he would get cut off, right? Meaning die. So God is bringing this covenant back to the table. And he told Abraham he'll be a father of many nations. Israel is just one nation. Matter of fact, Israel is the first nation born to God, right? He said, this is my son, my firstborn. As others can be born into the nation of Israel spiritually. Won't many people tell you that, especially in the house of conscience circle. So now, 45. A foreigner, and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. They can't eat of the Passover. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth out the flesh from abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. Right? All the congregation of Israel should keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one born in the land. For no uncircumcised person, one law shall be for him that is born, is homeborn. That's a physical Israelite of the seed of Jacob, right? Unto the stranger that sojourn amongst you. Now, how sound is that? Who at this time was sojourning amongst them? Let's go back into this and read a little bit, because Israel came out and some more people came out with them. 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot. There were men besides children, right? And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herd, even very much cattle. A mixed multitude. A mixed multitude. Who was down in Egypt? Who was a part of that mixed multitude, or other people that came out with Israel and sojourned with them in the wilderness? It was Egyptians. You know how so much, and we'll deal with it at a later time. I might even do it at a lecture, because I'm going to do a lecture called The Miseducation of the Hebrew Israelites. Be looking forward in December, you know. And I'm going to have the PowerPoints and stuff. Right now, I just wanted to talk this morning. It's Sabbath day. I can't do nothing else. I can't watch TV or do stuff. I'm here by myself. Might as well just throw something up on YouTube, right? So it was a mixed multitude that came out. Let's go to Deuteronomy 29 now. We're going to solidify a couple things for y'all. Deuteronomy 29, and we're going to pick it up at 9. Deuteronomy 29 and 9. Keep therefore the words of this covenant. We know the covenant of circumcision is what he made with Abraham. But the 10 commandments and other stuff, he also made a covenant with them. Covenant ain't nothing but agreement. If you do this, then I do that. You know what I'm saying? Keep therefore the words of this covenant and do them, that ye might prosper in all that ye do. So if you keep the covenant, you can prosper in all that you do. If you have faith in that and you do it, then you'll see the end results. If not, you'll see the end results. That's why we're in the conditions and the curses that we in the day when you go to Deuteronomy 28. Right? 10. Ye stand this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains of your tribes, your elders, your officers, with all the men of Israel, right? Your little ones, your wives, and thou strangers. Thou strangers meaning your strangers. Why they call your strangers? Because when you read Exodus 20 and he give you the covenant and he give you the Sabbath day as we observing the day, those that observing it, we had man servants and maid servants, right? It said thou servants. They ought to keep the Sabbath day too, because they're sojourning amongst you, and there's one law for you and the ones that sojourn amongst you. There's one covenant with you and the ones that sojourn amongst you. The nation of Israel. Israel and the strangers. It's like you call United States of America. Or there's supposed to be a nation, right? A nation of people. It's a mixed multitude of people here. Everybody here is not a so-called American. It's no such thing. The land is called America, and people that's in this land at the end of the day are called Americans. But Americans consist of Japanese people descent, African descent, European descent, North and South Pole. Many, 7 continents? They come from all the continents, and there's different tribes in every continent, right? So the stranger that's also amongst the nation of Israel, they still ain't became a nation because they ain't got their land in Canaan yet, right? They ain't entered into the promised land. They didn't multiply it there, right? How did they multiply? 12 boys went down there and they came out 6,000 something. They was doing a lot of humping around. You know what I'm saying? They was multiplying. You can call Israel jackrabbits. Give us the Playboy symbol. Bunny, because we was making babies down there. And we was making about 400, 500 a year for 400 years to come up with that number. And remember, they was killing off a lot of the males during the time when Moses was being born, from the literary perspective, you believe it or not. So it said, the stranger that is in thou camp. Let's start that at 11 at the top. Your little ones, your wives, and thou stranger that is in thou camp, from the hewer of the wood unto the drawer of the water. See, that's man and maid. That's man service and maid service. Right? That thou shalt enter into a covenant with the Lord thy God, and into his oath, which the Lord thy God made with thee this day. Make it with thee this day. That he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a God, as he has said unto thee, and as he has sworn unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath. He talking to Israel, and he's saying, thou stranger, and he's saying, I don't make this just with you. He make that with the stranger, the multitude that came out. Why you think the law of the Passover is circumcise that stranger amongst you, and he can take her the Passover? He don't want to take her the Passover. He don't want to be really as an Israelite or one homeborn, don't circumcise him. He can't take of the Passover, and eventually he'll get cut off. Because if you're not keeping that simple thing, you're not going to keep the other thing. You're going to get stoned. You're going to get killed. You're going to get purged, right? Let's read on. 15. But with him that standeth here with you this day before the Lord our God. So that thou stranger, remember, it said the officers, the elders, thy wife, thy children, and thou stranger. So he said he making this covenant with them that stands with them. This is what I was hitting Dr. Mayat with. At the end of the day, the Lord God of the Bible is a friend to all those that's willing to do his will, laws, statutes, and commandments and stuff. All those that's not, they make themselves an enemy to him. He gave us this covenant. He said, listen, this is what the people in the land do. I purged them out of the land because they was doing this foulness. Now, if you go in there and do that foulness, I'm going to purge you out, Israel. No respect of person. He set a condition, and he want all to adhere to that, right? So, let's go deal with conditions. Because I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, but this is just a build up to dealing with the conditions. So hopefully y'all can feel it when I present it. So first thing first, let's go to slavery, right? We're going to Luke 21. Now this is even Jesus Christ prophesied in 7 AD and going into captivity and stuff. So we're going to Luke 21. We're going to pick it up at 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, who? Israel, and shall be led away captive into all nations. Where are we? In all nations. Are we there with some Hamitic people, dark race people, come from Ham, right? But not considered the Negro that we are considered, right? Into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles unto the times of the Gentiles, right? This is what's going on, people. We have been scattered into all nations. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and show you why Jesus was saying what he was saying. We're going to 68. And it reads, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ship by the way which I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. And no man shall buy you. Right? Sold. We're going to be carried into all nations. Sold. That's the conditions of my forefathers. Right? Now we're going to go to Joel 3. So now we're going to get into the conditions. The conditions that our foreparents came here in. They didn't migrate here. You know, you had the Moors and the different people that they was on the land and they was here with the Indian, and the Indian is I don't go with all that. I go with the historical evidence that it was some ships carrying cargo, which were African Americans, as they call the day, or to the Negro, right? And I believe the Moors, as I was going to debate Lord Abel, had a hand in it, because the Moroccan treaty that they had with America and stuff really boils down to the fact that in a time of war or ships or whatever, that the United States government Navy was not going to stop them ships and mess with their cargo, and vice versa, right? So what was on them ships? Tobacco, liquor, and Negroes, slaves. And the United States government didn't stop it. They brought us into the ports, and they did as we finna read here in Joel. As I was having a big issue with the Moorish people, but like I said, I wasn't trying to attack no Baju Ali or none of that. I don't have no problem attacking man. I ain't worried about that. I deal with doctrine, I deal with teachings, and I deal with, you know what I'm saying, the legal actions that was being taken at the time. The United States government is not stopping those ships and finding those aborigines at the bottom of the ship and you know, doing some humane thing about it, then you know those it's just like slavery today. Those who are snatching up people today and you know trafficking human beings is wrong. So Joel 3, and we're gonna pick it up at 3. And they have cast lot for my people, and they give a boar for a harlot, and sold a girl that they might drink. Right? Skip to 6. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their borders, into all nations by ship far from their borders. Is that not the history of our people? Is that not the conditions that we find ourselves here in this land called America today? Whether it's North America, South America, or Middle America, right? Let's go back to Deuteronomy 28 and 33. And see, this is the type of stuff when people trying to debate and talk, this is just the type of stuff people trying to talk about. But most people won't talk about history and stuff. And then they won't talk about chronology. People, chronology is from 2014 to 2013, 12, 11, 10. It goes backwards from AD to BC or CE, before the Christ era or during the Christ era when he was here, right? So don't let nobody switch you up with that. Today, as people known as Jews, you have to talk about their origin, where they come from, how they made it here, whether it be the Ashkenazi or whatever, and you have to go back and go back and go back until, yes, eventually they might fade out of history. But until you fade them out of history, they're a part of history. Don't let nobody fool you or tell you anything different. Oh, I was going to Deuteronomy 28. See, it is historical evidence of Jews, whether they be the black Jew, as Dr. Men say, we the black Jew, or whether they be the Ashkenazi Jew, or whatever. It is historical evidence. And as you go back, they fade out. Eventually, somewhere, we all will fade out of history, because man came to the planet at some point, and if you go further enough back in history, we weren't on the planet. Let's not be dum-dums, as the great Gazoo and the Flintstones said when he called Fred a dum-dum. And a dummy just means you can't speak. So let's be people that can speak on subjects and ones that truly can't speak on them. So Deuteronomy 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Remember he said he's going to provoke us with strangers and stuff, right? Shall eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and cursed always. There you go. We don't need the Canaan curse, right? To show us as a cursed black people. And say we come from Ham, and we are the Canaanites as the Moorish people, like and Lord Abba was trying to push, and that's what we was going to get to in the debate. Are we Canaanites, Moabites, Israelites, or what? Let's make it plain and simple based up on this literary text and any other text you want to go to, a historical documentation. Right? So let's go to name taking, because this is the most important part. See, when your identity and your name and your language and all that stuff is taken, and you can't really tie yourself back to the source from which you came, then you just want to claim a continent. You don't want to claim a tribe. And even if you do the DNA, as I just said, at the end of the day, if 12 boys went down in Egypt, the land of Ham, aka Africa, and populated themselves into the numbers of 600,000 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They was doing a whole lot of humping. But who was they humping? They weren't humping their literal sister. It was, what, only one Israelite girl or one daughter of Israel. I can't remember. Two, maybe one or two. I can't remember. My mind jumbled up right now. But they weren't sleeping with they were sleeping with Hamitic women, Egyptian women, Cushite women, this, that, and the other. They was making babies with people that had quote unquote African or Hamitic or Egyptian, Canaanite, or whatever DNA. So if you go into your DNA, you gonna trace back to some African lineage also, but that don't mean you don't have the Hebraic or Israelite DNA in them. It's just something that the DNA doctor or test probably ain't looking for anyway. They figure you just an African and we gonna put you with some African tribe. So, you know, for y'all that's all about that DNA. So we're gonna go nah, let's just go back to Deuteronomy 32 and 26. And Dr. Ben talk about this stuff. He called Moses an African. He called Jesus an African. We know that Jesus hid amongst the Egyptians when he was younger. It say Moses was what? Trained or brought up in all the ways of the Egyptians, right? He knew that stuff. When people say Jesus went down there, he's supposed to mess with the mystery system or somebody down there that put him on, because when he came at 12 years old, asking questions to the priests or the Levites or the scribes and the Pharisees, at the end of the day, they was amazed at his questioning. Like, wow, this boy know a lot. So people were arguing. He learned that down in Egypt, right? Ain't nobody got no problem with saying information came from Egypt, right? Or came from some Hamitic or whatever, right? Because human history is all of our history. And you best believe that anybody at that time that had knowledge, and you can't say that, you know, just the certain Egyptians, not the Canaanites or the Ethiopians or different people, didn't have knowledge too, or the same knowledge. Just because they recorded it don't mean that. And don't mean that some Semitic people didn't have the same knowledge. Come on, people, it's basic knowledge just like today. Everybody know what an iPhone is. It's worldwide. You know, everybody know what toilet tissue is. It's worldwide. Some people might not have it, but we know that it started somewhere. But once something starts, it spreads. Everything has a starting point. So Deuteronomy 32. It's just people, you make illogical thoughts and questions, man. It's just crazy. It's like, what was your reasoning in asking that, Father? Deuteronomy 32 and 26. I say, I will scatter them into corners, all nations, people, of the four corners of heaven. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from amongst men. How you gonna make the remembrance of truly the nation of Israel cease from amongst men? Because that is his chosen people. As we said, God cast away his people. God forbid, right? How you gonna do that? We're gonna go to Deuteronomy 28 and 37. He gonna take his name away from him anyway. That's when you go to Revelations 2 and 9 and 3 and 9. And I know that them call themselves Jews but are not Jews, calling themselves Israelites but not Israelites, not of the seed of Jacob. They might have been a part of the nation of Israel, as we was just talking about. Strangers can sojourn too, but the strangers was never to usurp or try to be us, because they not the physical seed, or to rise up above us. And if you understand who we are and you a stranger, you should, as Brown was and stuff, you should be killing and fighting for us and trying to put us back in our position. So we're gonna go to Deuteronomy 28 and 37. So it said, And thou shalt become a astonishment, a proverb, a byword amongst all nations, whether the Lord leadeth thee. Astonishing about what are these bywords? Negro, nigger, color, African American, Afro American, black, Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, I'm gonna throw that one in there. You know what I'm saying? You know, all of these things. Black. Just call us black. Darky. Coon. Took our name, took our identity. Don't call us by who and what we truly are. So we become unknown people, and other people take our name. That's what didn't happen. Let's see. I'm just sharing with y'all this morning, man. I just want to get some stuff off my chest, man. You got the Kemites, or Kemet people running around tripping nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, if you want to say this is a mythological book, or it's full of myths, right? And you want to do what Shaka Utmost did, I was listening in. I always peep my competition. And talking about you don't have a body of Abraham. Look, Israel didn't mummify people. You know what I'm saying? We didn't deal with the same afterlife system that y'all deal with. We believe in resurrection. We believe man come from the ground, man should go back in the ground. Not man should go in the tomb and get wrapped up and get embalmed with certain fluids and stuff and keep them around. That's the Egyptian system. And so therefore they mummify people and they put them in a tomb and they do all of that. You know, it's not our system. So you can't say, well, we got a body. Well, that's like they say James Brown ain't hit the ground yet. Other people ain't hit the ground. And even if at the end of the day, how you preserving these people's body? Why you want to, what's the baseball player? You want to put them in the ice chamber and keep these people's body around? They dead. Or do you believe they soul or spirit gonna come back to them and they gonna all of a sudden be animated again? You see what I'm saying? So what are you thinking about? What are you talking about? As James Small said, dealing with the voodoo system, even reincarnation. If you keeping a body around, how this Pharaoh gonna come back at his grandchildren and his body over there? So his soul or his spirit gonna go into this child and then he gonna get a new body? Well, why preserve the old body? See, this is reasoning and thought about this stuff that people say that sometimes end up being, things that you got to question. Like, hold up, man, what was we smoking that day when we was coming up with that? You know what I'm saying? What was we smoking, or what was they smoking? Because even with some biblical stuff and, the Nephilims, the angels sleeping with man, somebody was smoking that day they came up with that. Somebody was smoking. What they were smoking, I don't know, because the crack era hit in the 80s. So hopefully that doctrine didn't come up in the 80s. It was a little bit before that. But we've been around a mighty long time. But that's just, to a degree, that's some small things to show condition people. That's how we argue stuff from a biblical and a literary point of view. At the end of the day, Israel is a dark race of people. They're not of the Ham seed, meaning they Hamitic people, but they Shemitic people. You know what I'm saying? The conditions we find ourselves in, as for Negroes or African Americans in America, don't mean that we was the only people on that boat. As we know, there's people that sojourn amongst us that fell up under the conditions that we fell up under, and then there's some people that just because they look like us, at the end of the day, they got snatched up too. If we could do it to this dark race, we could do it to that dark race. And yes, Canaan has similar curses up on him. To find some Canaanites being in subjectivity to the Gentile or whatever. It's no, excuse me, no big phenomenon. Get all caught up about like, hey, we found Canaanites over here too. Cool. As J.J. Evans would say, dynamite. Wow. You ain't gonna move me with that. But people, that's just my rant for the day. You can say I'm ranting. I say I'm ranting. But I'm talking about, if you wanted to talk about it, we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Putting stuff out there so y'all can see my face. Y'all know my voice pretty much. Y'all done heard my name. You know what I'm saying? So it's another broadcast, something to put up on YouTube. Drop a little bit of this knowledge. People, prepare for the debate on November the 1st. You're really gonna get to see how the Bible is the most conducive tool for our liberation, the best tool for our liberation. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the one that dropped these conditions on us gave us a blueprint to get away from under these conditions. You know what I'm saying? If you had it where the dating system or the coding system, as they used to say in the South and back in the day, was still there, you wouldn't have all these unwedded mothers and children running around gang banging and stuff. You would have a family structure. You know what I'm saying? If a man lie with a woman, he should make her his wife. Man take a woman virginity. See, the people back in the days knew this. That's why you had them out there with them rifles like, boy, you done laid with this girl. We don't know if she's going to become pregnant from this, or if any other man will want her after you done spoiled her. So get the guns. You finna marry this girl. You finna take care of her. You might even have to be a part of this family and come into the family business or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Those biblical principles. You know what I'm saying? Not being a homosexual, not dressing like a female. That's biblical. You see brothers running around with skirts and makeup and different stuff. The Bible said we ain't supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? You won't get no baby being molested and Lil Wayne kissing on baby, and you know what's the dude name supposed to have baby name tattooed on his penis and stuff. What are we doing, people? What this is? This world is crazy. This world is crazy, and there's a lot of crazy people in them because they want to hear to simple things. You could say they're biblical, universal, or whatever. But if you can find them in the Bible and you can find them elsewhere, but the Bible is the one thing you can reach and grab grandma old Bible or grab mama old Bible or grab that old Bible with the, you know what I'm saying, with the, you know, the family tree in it and stuff, the genealogy and stuff. See, people want to talk about your ancestors. You can even find your ancestors in your Bible if your people were prudent enough to put that information in there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot, people. That's all I got to offer for today. At least on YouTube. I might do a show tonight on Blog Talk. My Blog Talkers channel is blogradio.com/The Huddle. The Huddle, The Huddle 2, The Huddle 3. And those are the numbers. The number 2, the number 3. I got 3 huddles. So the Huddle 3 is the one that's I'm basically broadcasting 2 hours from now. Once I get my reader back, we'll be going back to the Huddle 2 and we'll be teaching. And it'll be a lot more cohesive than what you heard today. Me reading, me thinking, not really having nothing laid out before me to give a lesson is not that conducive. It's just me, as I say, random talking, letting you enter into the mind of Carl Albert, Israel Doctrine. Yes, my name is Carl Albert, not Israel Doctrine. I'm just a manifestation. It manifests, Israel Doctrine manifested from my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's the show, people. I thank LaRon and brother D for popping in.
Anytime.
Whoever else listening on YouTube or whatever, I know people ain't caught on to me yet. I know I ain't got the best camera and, you know, I'm low budget, you know, doing my thing. I'm ranting and not really doing a lesson, you know, but I need to get my face out there. I need to, you know, allow y'all to be more familiar with me. Last time y'all see me, I had the big beard, you know, all nappy and stuff. Maybe had a little food kernels in it or whatever. But you know, I didn't cut it down. So until next time, people, keep it righteous. Peace.